Marcus wiped the sweat from his brow as he pushed the heavy mop bucket down the gleaming hallway of TechCorp's 42nd floor. At 3 a.m., the building was silent except for the hum of computers and the squeak of his worn shoes against marble floors. What no one knew was that this 50-year-old janitor carried a smartphone in his pocket, not for social media or games, but loaded with coding tutorials, business podcasts, and dreams that burned brighter than the fluorescent lights above. "The only impossible journey is the one you never begin," he whispered to himself, repeating the Tony Robbins quote that had become his mantra. Every night for the past 3 years, Marcus had been teaching himself to code while the corporate world slept around him. His story began with a pink slip from the factory where he'd worked for 25 years. At 47, with no college degree and a mortgage to pay, most people would have seen only dead ends. But Marcus saw something different. Walking past the gleaming tech offices during his job search, he noticed something: young programmers barely out of college earning more in a month than he'd made in a year. "I may not have their education," he told his wife Sarah that night, "but I have something they don't: decades of solving problems with my hands, and the patience that comes from starting over." Sarah looked at him with the mixture of concern and admiration she'd perfected over their 20-year marriage. "You're going to learn computers? Marcus, you barely know how to use email." Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no good ideas, Marcus replied with a smile. "If he could reinvent himself, so can I." The janitor job at TechCorp was supposed to be temporary, just something to pay the bills while he figured out his next move. But it became his secret classroom. Every night, after cleaning the offices, Marcus would sit at his phone and dive into online courses. Python, JavaScript, HTML, languages that felt foreign at first but gradually became as familiar as the cleaning supplies in his cart. The breakthrough came during his second year. While cleaning the desk of a senior developer, Marcus noticed code displayed on the screen, code that looked wrong. The developer had been struggling with a bug for days, evident from the crumpled papers and empty coffee cups surrounding his workspace. Marcus studied the screen, recognizing the error from his tutorials. The next morning, he left a carefully written note: "I noticed you've been working on this authentication issue. Line 47 might be the problem, the variable is being called before it's defined. Hope this helps. Night Cleaning Crew." When Marcus returned that evening, he found a response taped to the computer: "You saved me hours of debugging. Who are you?" "Jake." A correspondence began. Jake, intrigued by the mysterious janitor coder, started leaving programming challenges and questions. Marcus would research solutions during his breaks, responding with carefully thought-out answers. Word spread quietly through the development team about the night shift genius. "Success isn't about where you start, it's about how willing you are to keep going when everyone else stops," Marcus wrote in one of his notes, sharing a quote from someone he'd heard on a podcast. The turning point came 18 months later. TechCorp's biggest client was threatening to leave due to a critical system failure that the entire development team couldn't solve. The CTO, desperate and out of options, mentioned the mysterious night janitor who'd been helping his team. "Bring him in," the CEO said. "At this point, we'll take help from anyone." Marcus found himself in the boardroom at 2 a.m., still wearing his janitor's uniform, facing 20 senior developers and executives. The weight of imposter syndrome pressed down on him like a physical force. "I'm not a real programmer," he started, his voice shaking. "I'm just a janitor who—" "You're a problem solver," interrupted the CTO. "Show us what you see." For the next 4 hours, Marcus walked them through the system architecture, identifying inefficiencies and bottlenecks that the team had missed. His outside perspective, combined with years of learning fundamentals rather than just following frameworks, revealed solutions that had been hiding in plain sight. "The expert in anything was once a beginner," Marcus quoted as he finished his presentation. "I may not have formal training, but I have fresh eyes and the hunger of someone who knows what it's like to have everything to lose." The system was fixed within a week. The client stayed. And Marcus received an offer that changed everything: senior systems analyst, with a salary that was 4 times what he'd made at the factory. But the real victory wasn't the money or the title. It was the moment he walked into his new office, passing the night janitor who'd taken his place, and realized that transformation isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming who you were always meant to be. Your current situation is not your final destination, Marcus now tells audiences at the tech conferences where he's invited to speak. Every master was once a disaster. Every expert was once a beginner. The only difference between those who make it and those who don't is the willingness to start, and the courage to continue when starting over feels impossible.